And we back. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy James, where I am here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. It ain't gonna happen this video, but that's all right. We'll live to fight another day. Joining me as always is my co-host, Mrs. Fish. I'll say what's up to her.
Happy Sunday, beautiful people. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. We appreciate you all.
Absolutely. And why, yes, you're subscribing to me, please subscribe to Mrs. Best. Any reviews or recaps that I don't cover on my channel, it's because we're covering on her channel. We have Basketball Wives, The Valley, Real Housewives of Miami on Mrs. Best channel. And coming up in a few weeks is King's Court that will be premiering on her channel as well. If you guys love all those shows, or at least want to see our commentary on shows that are just like that, you'll subscribe to her channel because we definitely go win, especially around Basketball Wives time. We always do. And while you're subscribing to both of us, you might as well go ahead and click the link and subscribe to Shana's channel. She has two. She has her original channel and the new channel. So she's trying to get both monetized. We love Shana here. We want to keep her here on YouTube because Shana does what needs to be done, which is give support, give great commentary. She does a lot on her channel. And we want to make sure she keeps it going. And YouTube needs to rightfully, because she puts in a lot of hours in this, give her the compensation she deserves, better than what she deserves, honestly. She needs quite the coin to be doing what she does. She does way more than me. I'm not even monetized yet, but I need to make sure that happens in the future because it's hard out here. To be that solid, y'all. Thank you. Shout out to Shana_MCD. So, this episode, and I'm gonna be real and transparent with y'all. I have a hard time connecting with it. There go that damn car again. Oh God. It always gets me at this time. I don't know what that is. I don't know what kind of car that is. I never see it out, but like it always, every time I'm live, he always starts that car. And then he gonna rev the engine and annoy me. Sorry, I had to get off topic for a minute, but that pissed me off. Anywho, the show opens up with a scene with Seth and Brooks. And I'm like, Seth and Meredith are going to drive me crazy being in every damn episode of this show. Because it's bad enough we got to watch them on Salt Lake City. Now I got to watch them on this show here. And Seth was being extra strange on this whole episode. But he's talking with Brooks and he goes, I want to know more about you. Like, how's your love? How's your sex life going and everything? And Brooks was like, oh my God, like that is so uncomfortable. But we learned that Seth has a boyfriend who stays between California and Texas. So when he gets to New York, Seth enjoys it. They show a little cute little scene with them with Brooks vacuuming and everything. And Seth is asking him, what's his body count? And I'm like, the hell is going on with these parents? Like, why do y'all want to know that information? Because hell, I don't even think Brooks knows. But anyways, Seth was all like, you're really connected to your mom. Your mom knows all your business. And he goes, yeah. He goes, that's my goal in life. I want to be a mother. And I'm just like, get Seth off my screen, please. Somebody get Seth something to do. I need Seth to do something because I'm not trying to go through this anymore through this season. Like if Seth is on any more episodes, I'm gonna drop the show. Because they get on my nerves. Him and Meredith both. So, how did you feel about that scene, Mrs. Bestwood, Brooks and Seth?
I said it in the first recap that you did for this show. I feel like we're going to get a lot of Meredith and Seth. Like they don't know how to let their kids be in the limelight. I feel like they're one of those families that feels like they have to do everything together to avoid discussing the marital problems that we know Meredith and Seth actually have, which is why we keep seeing them separately and not together. I feel like Seth does too much when he gets on camera. He does this on Salt Lake City. He's doing it here now. He's trying too hard to be funny. Hi, DM Rocks. I hope you're well. Happy Sunday. But Seth tries too hard for me. Like, it's not even funny because it's disingenuous and expected. And Brooks kind of bores me. I don't like how he talks. I don't want any of them here. Like, I don't dislike Brooks. But I don't want to see this family.
It's the monotone mixed with the nasal. It's like, why do you talk like that? Like, do you need something to get castrated? Like, do you need something to go up your nose and get it out? Like, what is going on here? Like, it's so annoying. And then to make matters worse, they talk about Chloe, and I'm sick of this shit too, because it's not that big of a fucking deal. But
where is Chloe? They keep talking about her. We ain't seen the girl since Pac died. Where is she at?
I'm just saying, like he's saying, I need to have a conversation with Charlie because he talked about Chloe, and we still have not figured that out yet. And someone goes, well, maybe I should talk to him, because he has this strained relationship with his father. Maybe I could, because I want to be a life coach, so maybe I can help him. And Brooke's like, oh God, Dad, no, you should stay away. Like, don't do that, Dad. And I'm just looking at him and like, oh, get the fuck off my screen, please, Lord Jesus. Like, I cannot. Brooke has that nose problem, like bang bang Brit. Yes, he does. He does. I was gonna say no, but then no, he does absolutely. And it's like I don't know if Brooks had the nose surgery like Brittany did, but whatever they did, they messed y'all up. But I think Brooks just naturally talks like that, and that's annoying because Meredith doesn't have the best voice tone either. So not only does he sound like her, but he looks like her and everything. It's crazy. That's Meredith male version. But anyways, moving on. Georgia had an event that I guess they filmed but didn't use for editing purposes. I guess the situation that happens later on this episode was more enticed, so they wanted to make sure that they did not make us lose the point of that. But she invited everybody to this event and everything, and which we'll touch on a little bit later. But Charlie has a lunch date with his mom and her boyfriend. And what we learned about Liz, which is Charlie's mom, is that Liz had him up until 0 to 10, and she fell in love with like this artsy way of life. So so that turned into her neglecting her children. So the father, who was Anwar, he ended up getting custody of them. And so, it kind of makes more sense of why Charlie is the way that he is, because he was neglected a lot and then brought into another situation to where his father is really hard on him. But Charlie doesn't make good decisions, which I feel like is a cry for help. Next episode, we'll touch on that. But I feel like this is a cry for help, and he just doesn't know which way to do it. But Liz was showing him a picture he drew of his father where he had his father decapitated. And I was like, so he drew this picture as a kid. And you didn't think, let me get my child into some therapy, let me get my child into help like he needs, because anytime your children come with like blood, knives, guns, decapitated somebody, that is signs that you need to get them help. That is signs right there. So the fact that she thought the shit was cute and that it was artsy, he did a good job, but it was very telling. Mrs. Best, how did you feel about that scene with Charlie and his mama Liz and her boyfriend? And I'm not going to even mention his little story because that shit was
nasty. This why them colorless people be the main ones shooting up these schools and all them things that's going on around the country, because your child was doing what? And you just talking about it. It did show us some of who Charlie is, but I want to know why Charlie's on the cast with a bunch of people much younger than him. And I don't. The way they're introducing Charlie feels like how Jax Taylor on Vanderpump Rules was introduced. And now fast forward to him being on the Valley. Same shit, different day. So I don't know that Charlie will change, and so it makes me less inclined to want to watch him.
Do you feel like, which parent do you think is more to blame for how he ended up?
Definitely the mother. Like, psychologically, the trauma that's caused by having a parent that's around but not reliable, and then that parent suddenly disappearing, being put with a parent who is extremely structured, which his dad is that way, but also puts a great amount of pressure on the child, which his dad probably did, feeling like he had to make up for what the mom was lacking. Like, it probably, there's so many different layers to it. So I'm going to say the mom. You can't disrupt kids. You can't bring kids up in situations where there's no stability. Like, it's one thing to move all the time, but if you're disappearing sometimes and neglecting the needs of your kids, that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, I definitely think he has issues with his parents, and now they just seem to be like living their life. His dad seems to be still trying to hold him accountable, but personally, I actually feel like his dad could be harder on him. But I know a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but that's just how I feel. But overall, I don't care.
I don't either, but it kind of, but the, you know, the nosy person in me just really wants to figure out like where it went wrong, because it obviously did go wrong. And I don't necessarily think the father could be harder on him, but I think the father could take away some assets so that way he really has to figure it out on his
That's
own.
what I mean by be harder on him. The dad needs to let him be his own adult. Let it go. Because Charlie has an attitude and seems to be fighting for independence while still using the money that he gets from his dad to make his own money through his crypto. Let him be on his own and see how much of a man and how figured out he really has it. And I don't think his dad has done that. So he does need to be harder on him in that area. Hi, Mrs. Moncrief.
Hi, Mrs. Moncrief. Happy Sunday. I said the exact same thing. They are grooming Charlie to be the next Jax. However, the show is fresh, and the housewives are more tolerable in this capacity. They are. They are very much more tolerable, and I feel like I'm glad Bravo is giving the next generation, kids a chance on this show. But a lot of them are just coming off as spoiled kids, and to me, that's not really conducive if we're trying to watch them become entrepreneurs, because it's kind of like they have a leg up in a situation, if you get what I mean. Like,
But this is Next Gen NYC. So the housewives came on as a bunch of women who are already wealthy, already well off, had very easy lives, and they were a step ahead of everybody else. So these are the kids of them. So I do expect them to have it more together, because realistically, kids that are from New York and don't have parents that are rich, they not just able to go and find $10,000 a month apartments and, be walking around in red bottoms and things of that nature. Like, that's not happening. They're struggling. They may be at the welfare office. You never know. But these kids, I do expect to see it. I just think honestly, the one I really want gone, James, is Brooks. I like him, and I see how he connects with everybody because he's friendly. Brooks, honestly, is very sweet. I will say that. But I don't feel like he's interesting enough to watch on TV, and his parents trying to make up for that, I can't deal with it. And Gia, I just don't like the Giudice family, so she can go.
Yes. But speaking of which, we are finally introduced to Shy. He comes over to Brooks's apartment and teaches Brooks how to sew. Who else? I think Riley came over too, if I'm not mistaken. I think Riley was over as well. And they were having, a conversation about Shy and how he's friends with Dylan and he knows Charlie. And he's also in the fashion game. He sold at a very young age, made the pants he was wearing in his confessional. I also learned how to sew at a very young age. I think I was 12 or 13 when I learned how to sew. I don't have a sewing machine now. It's something that I want to pick back up on, but I just don't have the capacity or the time anymore. But he's very Shy is the guy to the above Riley here. Because I had asked, who is this kid? Where is he at? And finally, I get to get introduced to him. And so they're also mentioning the whole Chloe thing. I'm over this Chloe shit. I don't care anymore. So Charlie is skateboarding because he had called Dylan, Shy and said, "Hey, we going to dinner?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm at Brooks's apartment with Riley, and we're going to go ahead and teach Brooks how to sew or whatever." He goes, "Okay, call me when you're done." But as Charlie's skateboarding, he gets a call from Seth, which is Brooks's father, and Seth is like, "Hey, I want to invite you out to have lunch or something. Are you free? Are you available?" Charlie did not want to go anywhere with no Seth, and I don't blame him because Seth is weird. But he agrees to, meet up with Seth. So when they meet up, I don't know what Seth was on. I don't know if because that's not normal behavior that I've seen from Seth. Seth was doing I did hear this. I did hear this. I'm curious because I know Kyle Richards' kids are going to be involved in this. I already know. I'm curious to see which one because they all sound like her and they all get on my nerves. But I did hear about this, yes, and I'm not that happy about it because I'm just like they need. I'd rather them do the next Gen Atlanta before they do. But then I don't know who's going on that show. We'll see.
Have more housewives in LA. Then you could get Orange County kids, Beverly Hills kids. They could probably get some kids from Salt Lake City. There's a lot of them. I believe Heather Gay's kids are in LA. So there's a lot. There's a lot of people over there. I'd watch
Do
it.
you think I want to see Heather Gay on Next Gen as much as I don't want to see her on Salt Lake City? I want Heather Gay to be done with the Housewives franchise. I want them to give her her walking papers. I don't want to see. It's bad enough I got to see Heather Gay on Salt Lake City this next coming season because she didn't give a damn thing last season. So why do I want to see her on Next Gen as well as the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? It's bad enough I got her on one show. I love Georgia. Don't get me. I love Georgia. Her daughter is cute and everything, but no, I can't stand Heather Gay. Oh my gosh!
But that's the thing. They call it Next Gen because we should be getting, and this is the trial season. So I feel like if they do a Next Gen LA, maybe they'll learn like people don't want to see the housewives. They actually just want to see the kids. We can see them sometimes, but not as often as we're seeing them. Yeah. Please.
But speaking of which, this dinner between Seth and Charlie was really weird. I'm not going to go over every detail of this, but because Seth was asking so many inappropriate questions from like, you know, how's your sex life? Who gets more of a body count, you or your roommate? And this is where Charlie lets it out the bag that Dylan, his roommate, actually is bisexual. So he, you know, is for everything. And he goes, oh, and Seth's like, oh, he likes it all? He goes, well, what is he? He's like, and Charles like, well, I think they call it actually pansexual, where you don't really care. And Seth was like, I want to be that one day. Don't tell my wife. And I'm like, fool, you just said it on camera where she don't see it. But Meredith she got one foot out the door anyway, and she can keep that foot out the door because she know at some point you're gonna fuck up, and so that's why she does that. I don't feel like Meredith and Seth are really into each other the way they play on camera that they do. I think that they show up when they need to show up and they're done with each other after that. Seth is like that mom from Mean Girls with those heart. Yes. I forgot her name and I love her too. She is so funny. But yes, the whole perception, the image of that. Yes, he is exactly like he's so involved. And I'm like, okay, so were you involved when Brooks was born up until 18? Like, were you involved in that time? Because it seems like to me, the reason why Seth is so involved is because he missed out on time where he wasn't. Is anyone else getting that impression, or am I alone on this island? Like, you know how the parent misses out on so much of your childhood that when you become adult, they want to make up for that by showing up everywhere and getting involved with your friends. And that's what that's giving me. And it's weird energy. So, Cynthia and daughters. Oh, okay. I'm not mad at that because I love Adrienne Malou. I do. So I'm not mad at that. Noelle. Yeah, but I don't remember Adrienne Malou's daughters, but or kids. But I do remember I loved her first season. That was my girl. But yeah, so that dinner was weird. But what Charlie took from it is that he's seeing Seth's involvement and how easygoing Seth is. And he was like, my dad was never like this. So it was nice to actually have a father figure that showed up in this life because it lets me know that things that I'm missing from my own father, it was a good balance. And I thought that was really sad because I don't want him to look at Seth as like that person that had like an easygoing, because Seth doesn't give me easygoing. He gave me the father that probably wasn't as present and is making up for it now, so it looks that way. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Mrs. Best, what do you think?
I don't think Seth was around like that. I think Meredith was the more present parent. I'm sick of him though. That's about it.
Yeah. So speaking of things we sick of, so we over there at Teresa's house. I'm surprised she still has that house. Gia is going to throw a party while Teresa is out of town. And Teresa's like, oh my God, that's great. Yeah, throw a party here. She goes, yeah, we'll make pizza. And Teresa goes, you don't know how to make a pizza. And she goes, "Oh, yes, I do, Mom. You just put it in the fire." And I'm looking at her like, "Here we go." And she's like, "Well, I got cameras, so I'll be watching you." And I'm like, "Creepy much?" Yeah. But Gia's having a party. She's inviting everybody to Jersey. So basically, how this is set up is that everyone's going on a Sprinter van. Georgia lost her phone at her event, which we're going to tie back to Georgia's event because once again, I don't know why they didn't show it. But I guess Riley, Charlie, Brooks, and I don't know who else came to Georgia's party, but there was a scene where Charlie was meeting up with these girls, and he was supposed to leave with Georgia, but he ended up leaving alone, leaving Georgia with just Riley. And Riley said, "I'm not going to leave her. She ain't got no phone. I'm not going to just leave her." But before that happened, I guess Charlie was meeting with these girls and didn't introduce them to neither Riley or Georgia. So Riley came up to the girls and was like, "Hey, my name is Riley. I just wanted to introduce myself because apparently my friend was rude enough not to introduce me." And the girl introduced her name. I think her name was like Silva or something like that. Silva, some shit. So she'd be like, "Oh, nice to meet you." So Riley wasn't really being mean about it. She was being assertive, like, "Hey, like I am his friend and he did come here with me, but I guess he didn't want to felt the need to introduce me." So this conversation comes up in the Sprinter where Charlie was all like, "You were scary, you were being mean, and you were, saying all of this to prip your lips up." And immediately Riley is emotional and upset because he was painting her as the angry black girl and saying that she was aggressive towards the girls. When we look back on the scene, she wasn't aggressive. She was assertive because she felt it was rude that they didn't come up to her and introduce himself or that he didn't introduce them. So Charlie was way out of line. I felt like a lot of clear folks have this perception that when black people have attitudes and stuff, they print their lips up and point the finger because he knew exactly what to do. But they all kind of have the stereotype that we come off across as having attitudes. And so Riley was trying to explain him that just because I'm bigger and everything, and that I, have this kind of assertive tone does not mean that I'm aggressive or anything. And he was all like, "Well, you were being like that. You were doing all of this and everything. My friends thought so. Like they were scared and everything." And Ava also piped up and she goes, "But you have to see it from her perspective. You're putting negative concepts about there that may not even be true. And you're doing this and you're hurting her in the process. Like you can't see how you're hurting her." And he's all like, "No, I don't see that at all." Like, and Ronda's like, "Okay, so they were scared of me, but they're probably older than me." Okay. Like he still didn't get it. But he says he's sorry. And, they brought up a situation with Georgia when Riley said that Georgia was like, "Yeah, you had a very mean tone about it, but we're good now. We're good now." And I'm looking at Georgia like, this is where you sit down and shut up. Because you were no help at all. Because she didn't have an answer tone with you either. She said, "You don't wash your hands. Okay, I'm not gonna hug you because and that's nasty. Like, come on." I'm looking at them like I couldn't have been in that Sprinter van. A lot of people were saying that Ava really wasn't helping the situation because in this moment they wanted her to relate more as the other black woman on the cast. Saying that that's not okay. I'm sure she has experienced microaggressions towards her as well, but they felt like that wasn't enough. So Brooks goes over to Riley because he sees that she's visibly upset and goes to comfort her, and it was just a mess. So, Mrs. Best, how did you feel about that Sprinter van scene?
um just because you know somebody black doesn't mean that you understand the black experience for all black people. Every black person has their own independent experience, but at the same time, we all bond in the experience that there's always somebody colorless coming and saying some ignorant shit or trying to make us seem like we're doing something aggressively when we're not. I am glad that Riley can understand the difference and her discernment was on point to catch up on it. I do want Riley to gain a little bit of emotional control though, because I didn't feel as though it was necessary for her to get so emotional. But I think she also has to look and learn to understand that when people argue you down before they issue you an apology, that apology is not genuine. So I hope that she just resets her expectations. As for Ava, I think people need to give her a break. she's the only other African American person on this cast. And so off top, she felt the need to step in and defend and stick up for Riley, which is what she should have done as another Black woman. Why are we going to then criticize her for doing what so many other people don't do?
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, Ava stuck up for Riley while also holding her friend accountable, which a lot of people struggle to do.
Yes.
But that's still her friend. And sometimes, like, one of me and James's good friends at one point, we were all very close, who was of Caucasian descent. Like, sometimes you have to also recognize that other people just may not know. Sometimes people may not understand their ignorance. And a lot of times the colorless don't see their own privilege, you know? And I think with Charlie, it's one of those situations he just doesn't see it. And it's not Riley's job to educate him. It's not Ava's job to educate him. But I mean, I'm not surprised. I knew somebody on this cast would try somebody of color. I just didn't know who, so I'm not surprised.
I wasn't surprised either. Like when that happened, when they, because you know they had show clips of this before this episode aired, and I was like, that doesn't surprise me at all because it's always going to be one that's going to challenge it. I thought it was going to be Georgia. I really did. I thought Georgia was going to be the one based on that wash your can situation that was going to push that envelope. I didn't know it was going to be Charlie, but it, you know, it doesn't matter if it came from her or him. They both had like serious microaggressive energy towards Riley upon us first seeing this whole show. So I felt like for me, it didn't surprise me one way or another. And I do agree, Ava did speak up where she needs to speak up. But there's a scene in this, which I'll get back to with Ava, that I kind of saw where people were coming from when it came to.
No, the thing with Ava and Damon Dash. Damon Dash has been exclusively dating white women for some time now. And the woman he's with currently is. Ava, when she was on Growing Up Hip Hop, she used to struggle to connect with other cast members and certain aspects, well, a lot of aspects of Black culture. So I absolutely do see what people also see and agree with the comment from Mrs. Moncrief as well. She grew up because her mother, Rachel Roy, being in the fashion industry, and her dad, Damon Dash, who does a lot of business with people of the opposite spectrum. She grew up kind of getting the best of both worlds in some way. But I also feel like she's more white adjacent, if that makes sense. But I'm glad that she, at the very least, tried to speak up. At least she did something versus doing nothing. So, you know, because there's only so much you can do, because Charlie wasn't going to see it, even if Ava came at him. Then it just would have been in his brain, two aggressive Black women coming at him. So they did what they could with the shitty situation.
Agreed. So, yeah, we get to Gia's house. It was funny because Ariana and his name isn't Hunter. What is his name? Her boyfriend's name. I'm sorry.
You know, I never remember that boy's name. I don't, but I like him.
I do. I like him as well. We're going to call him Hunter until I figure out what his name is. They bring over laundry over to Gia's house. And I was hollering because Gia said, yeah, bring your laundry. But what I did not know is that Teresa and Louie got a whole damn laundry mat at their houses. They literally did 3 loads of laundry at one time. She had a washing machine here, in this room, in this room, in this room. That's living, y'all. That's what you call living. When you got stackable washer and dryers in a line and you could do 3 loads of laundry at one time, that is living. I want to do, that's my life. I want to be like that. I'm calling it out in existence.
IRS about to take it though.
Huh?
It's quiet as it kept. Them 2 guys. The IRS about to come get that
shit. Okay, but IRS, make that house $250,000 and just privately sell it to me. That's completely fine. I want that house. I'm sorry. Hudson, thank you so much. The Zaxby Prince. Thank you so much, Mrs. Moncrief. We appreciate you. Hudson. So yeah, they do the laundry. Everybody's maneuvering. She has a sidekick. Gia has a sidekick there for whatever reason. That family is just weird. Charlie pulls Riley to the side and, says that, I totally didn't want you to think that I didn't know where you were coming from because I absolutely did, and I want to apologize sincerely because I don't want you to ever be hurt by any of my actions. He says it with a smile. So we're all thinking, cool, okay, that's how we want y'all to show up, right? Just acting the part. So everyone's mingling, everything like that. So Georgia is sitting with her roommate. I think his name was Carver or Carter, one of them. And so Charlie joins them, and she was like, "I'm so proud of you. You apologized to Riley and everything." And he says, "Yeah, but I didn't mean it. Like, I just thought that's what I was supposed to do. Like, I thought I was just supposed to appease her." And Georgia and the roommate looked at him like, "Wait, what? What do you mean you didn't mean it?" He goes, "No, I just thought I was supposed to just appease her. I thought that's what they wanted from me, right?" So I'm gonna let y'all know what he's saying. I know I said some racist shit. I know I was being microaggressive, but I heard we just supposed to smooth over everything just by apologizing, and that makes it okay. Like, I don't have to mean the apology. I don't have to mean my action because I very much meant what I said. That's exactly what she did. But I'm just going to apologize because I just wanted to smooth it over. And this is where Charlie became a problem for me. He was already a problem, but for me being a Black man myself, me seeing that, because I've known people who have said this, but there was never any proof in the pudding. Because we're supposed to just accept apologies, right? They don't have to mean them, right? But they never tell us. They get amongst their white friends and say, "Well, yeah, this is the time the camera caught that shit." And I'm so happy that they did. Because that was the most fucked up thing I've ever heard in my life. The fact that you misrepresented, misjudged, and totally microaggressed the situation between Riley and the girl when we saw back on film that it wasn't actually that way is absolutely insane that you just did that in this moment by saying you apologize just to appease her because you felt like that's what you needed to do versus coming to her and saying, and that's supposed to be your friend, coming to her and saying, "Look, maybe I don't understand because my perception of you was aggressive." Like, I would have preferred him to be honest than to say that because that was crazy and that's gaslighting as hell. And I was Georgia and them like, I was like, "Oh shit, this is not gonna go over well," because it shouldn't. So, Mrs. Best, I have to ask you before I move on. How did you feel when Charlie revealed to Georgia and the roommate that he didn't mean his apology to Riley?
I wasn't surprised. Like you said, this happens all the time. It was just finally caught on camera. Here's the thing. One of the most beautiful things about Black people is we are forgiving, but in my opinion, too fucking forgiving. If somebody show you that they have those racial biases, tendencies that are negative against any race, I don't expect for them to change. I just don't. You can hope they do because that's the ideal outcome, but I don't expect for them to change. I wouldn't believe their apology. I would think if I had this some bullshit and keep you at arm's length because I want to always be able to see your ass, but I don't want you too close. So, not surprised. The fact that he would admit that on camera shows how childish and ignorant he is. Yeah, I don't think he was taught anything racist by his parents because his parents neglected him. They weren't really around too much. They just wanted him to practice success. But his parents' success, a lot of it is built off of serving various members of the population as it relates to race. So I don't feel like he was raised that way, but I feel like he probably, with parents being at the top and being in his dad's space, probably noticed that there was more of a certain demographic than another demographic. And that probably caused him to have some unconscious racist biases, but I don't like it. But again, we're looking at Jax Taylor in New York City all over again. Jax Taylor also made racial comments. I'm not surprised with Charlie. I'm just not surprised. What I am going to say is this, with him saying that he did not mean the apology and just said it to appease her, basically to shut her the fuck up. Ava, now is the time to hold Ava responsible, because once you see that your friend has bullshitted on an apology that connects to your race, if you still choose to be friends with him, little girl, you'll sell out. I'm sorry. There is no benefit to being friends with him. Not in business, not in wealth, not in reputation. There is no benefit to being friends with him. So I'm looking at her with a side eye. That's what I'll say.
I am too. Because at this point, because the roommate basically, George's roommate basically told Ava that they just had a conversation with Charlie, and he did not mean the apology to Riley. And Ava is pissed because Ava's like, well, what the fuck? Like, why would you do this? So now Ava has to get out the pool and go up to Riley and say, hey, okay, so I know that Charlie apologized to you, but apparently he didn't mean it. And meanwhile, Riley didn't had a whole conversation with Candy. She didn't say, Mama, they didn't, this is what they did. And Candy was pissed. I was hollering. I wanted to bring this up, but I totally it slipped my mind because Riley was still upset, even getting to Gia's house. Riley was still upset about it. So she calls Candy and, has this moment with Candy. And Candy told her, like, don't stop being you, make sure you call it out. If someone does something wrong, you make sure you point it out and call it out. Don't sit there and be no punk about it. Pretty much is what Candy said. She didn't say it like that, but that's pretty much what she said. And that's it sound advice. My mom always told me when someone does something disrespectful to you, no matter what it is, call it out. And I've always did that. I've never been in a position to where somebody was blatantly disrespectful to me and I never called it out. I always do. Because you could tell when someone is being, an asshole or a jerk or whatever to you, to call it things out. So Riley did stick it for her. So I was actually really proud of Riley, I was nervous for her being on the show, but she's sticking to her gun. So Ava finally tells her that Charlie didn't mean the apology and everything. And so Charlie walks over and everything. And Ava was like, what the hell? Like, why would you say that? Like, why, did you not mean the apology? And Charlie is tied up to here. He doesn't want to deal with the conflict. He goes, look, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I'm trying to have a good time, and you guys don't want to have a good time, then fine. And so Riley's like, no, Charlie, just come talk to me. Come talk to me about it. So Riley grabs his arm. He goes, let go of my arm, please. And she goes, okay, fine. I'll let go of your arm. And he walks away. And it was like, Charlie, you really going to walk away right now? We need to talk about this because that's not okay and everything. And I'm looking at her like, that's the wrong thing to say. That's the wrong thing to say because even Riley pointed out maybe he's not aware of it. You being a Black woman and you being his friend, it may be better coming from you to say, hey, that's not okay to point out that people could be microaggressive, but that wasn't the conversation. Like, I love that Riley was holding her feet to the fire because, yes, as a Black woman and as his friend, he needs to see it even from your perspective. That you are a Black woman as well, and people have probably labeled you as aggressive, as an angry Black woman too, and have microaggressions toward you, and you aren't able to defend yourself. I'm pretty sure it's happened to Ava as well. And this is one of the times that I kind of feel like, I think Amira is half Black, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like if Amira were there, that shit would have been shut down. Because I feel like Amira's not that tight. I could be misreading her because I don't know her. But I feel like Amira would have definitely put a wedge in between all of this and said, hey, this is not cool. You don't do this and whatever. Because I feel like she don't give a fuck. She don't defend everybody. I could be wrong, but that was crazy, though. So he walks out and he leaves. And he gets in. He leaves separate from everybody. And that's pretty much the episode. I don't really care about them calling him, asking why he left. That's really stupid. But how did you feel about this scene and his response to now getting confronted about his apology and it not meaning anything? Like, how did you feel? He did miss his best.
Not surprised. If he's ignorant enough to admit on camera that he didn't mean the shit on such a sensitive topic in this climate, then of course he's stupid enough to handle it the way he says. So that's all I have to say. I'm not giving him too much energy because I think the boy is racist and I don't like paying him too much mind.
I agree 100%. Okay. Well, that was pretty much the episode, you guys. It was nothing much of anything. As I said, I have one more episode to review and I will be caught up with this show so we can start fresh again on Wednesday. So I'm going to do that recap right now. But thank you guys for being here. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, let me know your opinions on this situation with Riley and Charlie. I want to know how you guys feel about this, how you feel about microaggressions all together as a whole. And we'll see you guys on the next recap. Bye-bye.